Hey guys, welcome back to another Reddit Stories video. Subscribe to the channel and like the video. Have a good time. A dead man walks my neighborhood every night. No one else can see him. I was on the far side of my neighborhood when I saw him for the first time. The middle of winter, and yet he wore a t-shirt and shorts. That was the first thing I noticed about him. We walked toward each other, me crossing the street as an SUV slowly approached. I was looking at the ground, but when he walked past me, I felt a surge of heat, like an oven door had just been opened. With it came a fetid air like that of burnt plastic. I turned around in time to see him crossing the street. That's when I noticed the second thing. The SUV came to a rolling stop at the stop sign. I screamed out and threw my hands in the air as I ran toward them. But the car passed right through the man as if he wasn't there. He continued to walk with his eyes forward. It was only then, looking at him closely, that I noticed the third thing. He was translucent, not obviously so, but enough that I could look through him and vaguely make out the dark shadow of a house. I watched him until he turned the corner. Then I ran home, looking over my shoulder every so often to make sure the ghost wasn't following me. At the time, my life was purgatory. I was 22 and had just graduated college. I was living with my parents and hadn't found a real job yet. I worked about 20 hours a week at a local grocery store and spent the rest of my time applying for jobs. I had this constant urge to do something crazy, move to Hollywood, and live out of my car while I worked on screenplays. Maybe I could sell all my possessions and travel the country in a van. I wanted something new and exciting. I didn't care if the new and exciting was a bad new and exciting. I guess that's why I went back to the street where I first saw the ghost. He wasn't there the first few times I went, but I could always smell him. That pungently sour, burnt smell, sometimes more fresh than others. It became a routine. I felt like a paranormal investigator. One Sunday evening, walking about 20 feet behind a couple pushing a baby in a stroller, there he was, walking towards us. Same t shirt, same shorts. I stopped where I was and just watched. Neither he nor the family gave any indication that they saw each other. The ghost walked with its eyes resolutely forward. The mom and dad continued the conversation, and then the ghost walked through them. I found myself biting my thumb as he approached me. My heart was hammering so loud that I barely heard the next car driving by. But I was so determined to hold my ground. If there was a chance to experience something new, I wanted to face it. There had to be a reason why only I could see him. The heat and smell consumed me as he walked by. I became incredibly dizzy. I saw stars. Then he was walking past me. I followed. The walk didn't last much longer, less than 5 minutes. We turned a corner. He walked toward the first house on the right, then disappeared as he entered the front yard. I was stuck in place and breathing hard when a voice came from behind me. You can see him too, can't you? I turned around to see a tall, handsome man, roughly my age. He was looking down at me and smiling like I'd done something surprisingly cute. A little kid who just solved a math problem she hadn't been taught in school yet. Yes, I said. Who is he? Your guess is as good as mine. You followed him, didn't you? I nodded. That's how I found him too. He's always walking the same path, but he disappears right here. I think it's where he used to live. Why? I don't know. Like I said, I found him the same way. You wanna get a cup of coffee? I was so taken aback that I laughed. He flinched as if I'd hit him. I'll take that as a no? He asked. Yes, I said, too sharply. I mean, no. You shouldn't take it as a no. Let's just get a cup of coffee and you can tell me more about the ghost. I don't know anything else, but I can tell you more about me, and maybe you can tell me more about you. I'm not sure if I said yes because I liked his smile or because I didn't want to give up the adventure. Either way, 15 minutes later, we had our drinks and were sitting down outside a local coffee shop. So, how often do you see ghosts? He asked. Not often, I said. I didn't want him to know that this was the first time. I wanted to seem cooler than I really was, like we were both part of this selective club. I've been seeing them since I was little, he said, looking down at his drink. I learned that his old house was across the street from where he had seen the ghost. But now he lived in his own apartment in the city. He just liked to watch this man sometime. He said it was the only ghost he had ever seen that never left. After that day, we started hanging out a few times a week. Sometimes we'd get coffee, other times it was a dinner, a movie, or a walk. I can't say I ever liked him that much, at least not romantically, but there was a certain dependency that started not long from the first coffee date. To some degree, I felt close to him because of the power we shared. But he also had this anxious desperation. He had it well, but I could tell that he was always holding his breath with me or on the edge of his seat, silently begging me not to go. I felt bad for him. Most importantly, he was my key to the world's secrets. So when one day he asked me if I wanted to go back to his apartment, I said yes. Not because I felt that I had to, and not because I thought he would be mad if I said no, but because I wanted to be closer to him. Not sex, although that wasn't something I was supposed to. I wanted to see where he lived, what he kept in his fridge, what he had on his walls, what his room smelled like, what kind of shampoo he used. I wanted to know him, and you can't know someone unless you know how they live when they're alone. So when we went to his apartment, we had no welcome mat or decorations, just TV, a couch, and some books stacked against the wall. No kitchen table, no recliner, no place to put your shoes. He showed me to his room, a bed, a desk, and a computer. We sure know how to live. He laughed. When I was a kid, I spent all my time inside. I didn't get the chance to experience much. So when I started living on my own, I decided I'd spend as much as time outside as possible. It didn't make a lot of sense to me at first. I mean, was being outside inherently better than the being inside? Over time, I've realized that when he really cared about was having a reason for everything he did. He never wanted to go to bed feeling like he wasted his day, and he didn't want to die feeling like he wasted his life. He didn't mind being home if he was home for a reason. To write because that's where his desk was. To sleep because that's where his bed was. But he never wanted to waste time. That's what was important. We sat down on the couch and talked for a while. I don't remember what about. What I do remember is the way his eyes softened and his lips parted slowly, how he lowered his chin in a way that made him look like a child. I remember, better than I remember anything else, how softly he asked me, will you please try to find me? What? I want you to go outside, wait a few seconds, then come inside and find me. Something about the way he asked made me want to just do it. I wanted to make him happy. There was just something so sad about him. I gave him about 15 seconds. There weren't a lot of places to hide inside the apartment, but it took me a long time to find him because I was walking so slowly. I thought he was planning to jump out and scare me. I checked behind the couch, under the bed, behind the shower curtain. I opened the towel closet, half joking, but found him curled into a ball under the shelf. He was rocking himself back and forth and crying. When I reached for him, he straightened his legs and scooted out. He stood up, and I kissed him. It wasn't exactly how I expected a first time to go, but yes, that was it. For weeks after, almost every night, I'd search for him and we'd make love. I didn't particularly like the game of hide and seek, but I didn't hate it either, and it made him happy, so I did it. We were lying in his bed one night, no hiding and no seeking, my head on his chest, when he told me everything. He saw a ghost for the first time while he was playing in his backyard with his mom. Only, he didn't realize it was a ghost. He thought it was funny that the yellow dog kept walking back and forth from the big tree to the back door. When he perfectly described the dog, which had died before he was born, was buried under the tree, and that he had absolutely not seen any pictures of, his mom brought him inside and prayed over him for hours. Later, when he saw a grey man in the house, she beat him so badly that he was kept out of school for a week for fear of teachers taking notice. She started drinking, and her beatings became more and more frequent. Only, she was smarter about how she dished them out. She hit him in places where no one could see the evidence, his chest and his back. She thought she could beat the demons out of him. He started hiding every time his mom drank, or when he knew she'd come home late from the bar. She'd walk into the house screaming his name. Sometimes, if he hid really well, it would take her over an hour to find him. But she would never stop looking until she did. Even now, he said, part of me feels loved. She always looked for me so hard, like I mattered to her more than anything else in the world. She wanted to find me and beat me because she thought she could cure me. If she hated me, she could have just kicked me out or killed me. She never stopped looking and never stopped trying until she died. How'd she die? It happened when I was 12. She came home after a long night at the bar. She found him quickly because he wasn't hiding at all. He was sitting on the couch, waiting for her. She went to slap him, but when her arm was just an inch away, he caught her by the wrist, squeezed hard, looked her in the eyes, and told her no. When she tried to hit him with the other hand, he caught that one too. He let go, and she tried to hit him again and again, but each time he caught her arm. He didn't hit her back, but for the first time, he defended himself. She ran to her room, sobbing. I should have just hid, he said. She would have looked for me and she would have found me like always. But in the morning, it was he that found her, dead in her bed, with another her checking in closets and behind furniture. I'm right here, he said. She turned. You found me. She walked towards him like she always did, eyes narrowed and fist raised to strike. But when she brought the fist down, it went really swiftly through him, with the knife slicing like a thin layer of smoke. She tried to hit him again and again, and she screamed like a banshee. He backed away. Why do you want to hurt me? There's a demon inside you. You need to stop talking to ghosts. You're a ghost. He ran out of the house and called the police. But as he looked through the front door one last time, he saw her, searching for him. I think it has something to do with trauma, he said, or purpose. Something I think they are the same thing. I was her trauma, and her purpose was to stop me. She thought beating me could stop me. And when she couldn't beat me anymore, she had no purpose. She's stuck living in a world where she is always trying to find me, even when I'm not there. When he was done talking, I told him to hide, and I looked for him harder than ever. The next day, we went to see the ghost again. Why do you think he's still here? I asked. Trauma, I guess. And how come I can see him? You're probably connected somehow. You've seen them more strongly when you are. We watched him for hours until he disappeared. I've always wondered where he goes when he's not there. Is he stuck somewhere in between our world and elsewhere? Does he choose to come back or is forced to? Over time, I began to feel strange and guilty about a hide and seek. Was I helping him heal from his trauma or forcing him to stay in it? I drifted away from him. We went from going to his apartment every day to hanging out once a week. He tried to reach out, but I always had some reason why I couldn't come over. Once a week turned to every other week. Then we were just texting every so often. At some point, we became strangers. I found a job as a tutor. It was a full time, and I found myself enjoying the work, looking forward to sessions, and feeling as though I did have a purpose, helping these kids get into college. Life was good. I didn't need to chase something extreme to feel like I was living. But like most experiences, once I settled into normalcy, I was bored again. The students seemed to get dumber and less motivated over time. There wasn't a point in what I was doing. These kids were all rich. With the parents' money, they're going to be fine without my help anyway. I was just another servant to make their lives easier, in the same way that they could clean the shoes without maids. They could study without a tutor. It would just take effort. When I got bored, I started reaching out again. I texted him a few times and he didn't answer, but I couldn't blame him. After all, the last text he had sent me was if I wanted to get dinner. 2 months later, and I never replied. I went to the street to watch the ghost again. I wondered what his trauma was. After a while, it felt like watching the northern lights, just after enough time. It was cool and all, but if I couldn't be a part of it, what was the point? I wanted to live excitement. I didn't just want to watch. I got in my car and drove to his apartment. I knocked on his door, but he didn't answer. I went home. I tried again the next day, and the next. As ashamed as I am to admit it, I started to get angry. I treated him like a video game that wasn't working, like he was the reason I couldn't have my fun, my excitement, my joy. There was only one of him. I couldn't just go buy another copy. So one day, after sitting outside his apartment for 3 hours, I just opened the door. I called his name a couple of times. I shouted that it was me. I said I just wanted to make sure he was okay. He didn't answer, so I walked inside and started looking. I found myself checking all the places he used to hide back when we were together: behind the couch, in the bedroom closet, under his bed. When I walked into this bathroom, the smell hit me. He was lying in the tub, curled into a ball, yet so flat that he was almost sinking into it. After a moment, I realized that he was sinking into it. The body in the tub was his ghost. Oh God, I cried. He looked up at me and smiled. You found me. What happened to you? He didn't answer. Why didn't you tell me you were going to do this? I could have helped you. Couldn't I have? You were using me. I paused for a second, trying to think of a response, and gave in, crying. Yes, I was, but I still cared. I'm sorry. He didn't respond, just stayed, curled in a ball. Why are you still here? Why can't you move on? Things are different. Are they better? He didn't respond for so long that I almost asked again. No, he said. Are you choosing to hide? Could you move on somewhere else? There's a door, but I don't know what's on the other side. You need to go. You don't want to be stuck here forever. If I go, then who will find me? There was nothing to say. It was too late. I left. I don't look for ghosts anymore. There's someone under the bed pretending to be my daughter. I used to think kids just had wild imaginations, monsters in the closet, shadows at the window, whispers in the dark. Normal fears. Thing you grow out of once the world shows you it's not all that magical or all that scary. I don't think that anymore. My daughter, Eva, was always a bright, happy child. A little shy, maybe, but deeply curious. She loved books, bugs, and building block tower taller than she was. At 6, she still needed a nightlight, still gripped my hand a bit too tightly when we walked past the basement door. She was always afraid of the dark, but it started with whispers. One night last month, I heard her talking in a room. It was past 10. I figured she was reading out loud to her stuffed animals again, but I pushed the door open. Eva, I whispered. She turned toward me slowly, too slowly. The way she moved didn't feel right. I'm fine, Daddy, she said. Her voice was flat. Wrong. I walked closer, a cold prickle crawling up my spine. Who were you talking to? She blinked. No one. Her room was empty. I looked in the closet, under the bed. Nothing. She watched me the whole time, not scared, not confused, just watching, like she was observing me, studying me. I didn't sleep that night. The next week, things got worse. I heard footsteps running down the hallway in middle of the night. Light, like a child's, but too fast, much too fast. And the house started to smell off, like damp earth, like something rotting behind the walls. One night, I found Eva sitting on the hallway floor at 3 a.m., whispering something over and over. I knelt beside her. Sweetheart, what are you doing? Don't listen to her, Daddy. She lies. She looked up at me, her eyes wide and filled with tears. I scooped her up and carried her back to bed. She curled up tight, pulling the covers up to her chin, and whispered, there's someone under the bed pretending to be me. My blood turned to ice. I dropped to my knees and looked. Nothing. The next morning, I found Eva at the breakfast table, humming to herself and smiling, like nothing had happened. I asked her about the night before. She looked confused. What do you mean? I slept all night. You don't remember sitting in the hallway? She shook her head. Did I sleepwalk again? Maybe. She used to sleepwalk when she was younger. That night, I set up my old baby cam in a room, one with video, just in case. At 2:47 a.m., the baby cam clicked on motion. I looked at the screen. Eva sat up in bed. Her eyes were closed. She was whispering, and then she answered herself. Another voice, coming from somewhere nearby, low, guttural, like it was trying to sound like her, but couldn't quite get it right. I ran to her room, heart pounding. She was asleep. I checked under the bed. Still nothing. I told myself it was interference, a glitch in the audio, maybe. But I kept the monitor on the next night, and the one after that. The whispers didn't stop. Then came the night. Everything changed. The storm was violent, thunder shaking the windows. Eva came into my room, trembling. Dad, please, she's back. I sat up fast. Who, sweetheart? The one under the bed. She looked at me, her lips quivering. My skin crawled. Okay, I said. Let's go check. She gripped my hand so tightly it hurt. When we reached her room, I saw her, Eva, lying in bed, sleeping, and also, somehow, standing right beside me. I froze. What the hell? I whispered. Eva, the one holding my hand, squeezed tighter. That's not me. And then the thing in the bed opened its eyes. It stared at me, unblinking. Then it smiled. A wide, unnatural smile. Too wide, stretching almost to its ears. The thing that looked like Eva sat up. I didn't speak out loud, but I heard it anyway. In my head, a voice like shattering glass and grinding teeth. You see me now. I grabbed the real Eva. God, I prayed she was the real one. And I ran as far as I could. We spent the rest of the night in a motel. The next morning, I went back to the house alone. It was empty. Eva's bed was made, her toys untouched. Her room smelled of dirt and mold. I checked baby monitor footage. It showed me tucking her into bed, but on the video, I was smiling. That same too wide smile. I didn't know what to think. Was I losing my mind? I called a child psychologist. They recommended evaluations, play therapy, the usual routine. But I wasn't imagining what I saw. I know I wasn't. I took Eva to my sister's place 2 towns over. I didn't tell her everything, just said we were in trouble and needed somewhere to stay. For a few days, things were fine. Then Eva started to draw dozens of pictures, all of her bedroom, the same scene over and over. Her asleep, while another Eva crawled out from under the bed, with eyes black as coal and a mouth open too wide. One picture was different. One drawing showed me, standing at the foot of a bed. Only it wasn't me. My eyes were hollow, empty sockets. I gently confronted her. Sweetheart, why are you drawing this? She didn't answer right away. Then she whispered, because she's coming. Who is? She looked at me. She says she's me, but she's not. She says she wants to be real. She says I took her place. I stared at her. Took her place? What does that mean? Eva's eyes filled with tears. She says she was the one who was supposed to be born, but something went wrong. She says I'm the mistake. A chill ran through me. I went online. Deep forums, hidden threads, encrypted subreddits, places people only whisper about. That's where I found it. One post, just a single sentence. Is someone under the bed pretending to be me? On the comments below, don't let them touch you. They learn by watching. The first isn't always the real one. Never trust the one who smiles. I ran back to my sister's house. Eva was gone. My sister was lying in the hallway, still breathing, but cold, like something had drained the life out of her. The front door was wide open. Wet footprints marked the wooden floor, small, bare. They went down the steps, out into the street, toward the woods. I ran. Branches scraped my face. The forest was too quiet. No wind, no insects, nothing. Then I saw her, a small figure, crouched, rocking back and forth. Eva, I shouted. She turned to me. She was crying. Daddy, she sobbed. Help me. She's going to take me. I ran to her and wrapped my arms around her. It's okay, I whispered. I've got you. You're safe. She looked up at me, and then her face changed. The tears stopped. Her mouth curled into a smile, too wide. From somewhere behind me, the real Eva screamed. I turned, just in time to see her crawling out from beneath the twisted roots of an old tree. Mud and dead leaves stuck to her skin. Daddy, she cried. That's not me. I looked between them. Two identical girls, one smiling, the other crying. One filthy and shaking, the other calm and grinning. I had seconds. I turned to the smiling one. What's your favorite bedtime story? I asked. She blinked. The one about the wolf. She smiled wider. Wrong, I said. Her answer couldn't be further from the truth. I turned and ran to the crying Eva. She threw her arms around me. The other one let out a shriek, high pitched, inhuman. She dropped to all fours and sprinted back towards the root. The ground shook. The tree opened like a mouth, and it swallowed her whole. We left that night. We burned the house down, never looked back. I had no explanation for everything that happened these past few weeks, and that scared me. After all of this, what mattered to me was that I had Eva by my side, safe and sound. A few weeks passed, and everything returned to normal, or at least that's how it seemed. I still couldn't stop thinking about everything that happened. Sometimes Eva still wakes up screaming. She says someone's standing in the corner of her room. She says it's still watching. She says it's still learning. Tonight, I woke up in the middle of the night and heard Eva whispering to herself again. Only this time, she was smiling.